Let's talk not just about removing Donald Trump, but removing malignant Republicans from the Senate as well. One of the things I would love to see in November of 2020 is a prominent Republican senator defeated. We know that Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell has multiple challengers. It's an uphill battle. It's going to be a tough one, but it's one worth fighting. There's another interesting one, which is South Carolina Republican Senator Lindsey Graham, whose challenger, Jaime Harrison, raised more than $3.5 million during the fourth quarter of 2019. This is more than, listen to this, he raised more than any South Carolina Democrat has ever raised in a quarter in the history of South Carolina. He now has more than $4.6 million on hand. Normal caveats here. Very often in red states, the Democratic challengers are pretty centrist establishment types. Jaime Harrison is a centrist establishment type. He's a DNC official, former chairman of the South Carolina DNC. Campaign is backed by the DSCC. But this is still good news because Lindsey Graham has been one of the most vocal Trump brown-nosers during the last 30 years, culminating maybe with this absolutely unhinged rant. Did I say 30 years? I meant 3 years. Unhinged rant in support of Donald Trump's often accused of sexual assault Supreme Court pick Brett Kavanaugh. Remember when Lindsey Graham appeared to have a medical incident from how crazy he went during those hearings? Take a look at this.
If you wanted an FBI investigation, you could have come to us. What you want to do is destroy this guy's life, hold this seat open, and hope you win in 2020. You've said that, not me. You've got nothing to apologize for. When you see Sotomayor and Kagan, tell them that Lindsey said hello, because I voted for them. I would never do to them what you've done to this guy. This is the most unethical sham since I've been in politics. And if you really wanted to know the truth, you sure as hell wouldn't have done what you've done to this guy. Are you a gang rapist? No.
Yeah. So it would be a great accomplishment to knock out Lindsey Graham. It is a huge uphill battle. Back in 2014, in very red South Carolina, Lindsey won by 17 points, 55-38 over a guy named Brad Hutto. But Jaime Harrison is raising more money. Lindsey Graham might have some liability hanging on him because of his association with Trump. We just don't know yet. Jaime Harrison is a really long shot for sure, but anything can happen in any race, any year. The polls aren't looking great. The polling, we actually have no really good polling in South Carolina. We have a 6-month-old poll from Change Research where Lindsey was polling 70%. But Jaime Harrison wasn't even in that poll, and now Jaime Harrison has nearly $5 million to spend. So I don't think we can read too much into the polling one way or the other, other than to say it will be a tough one. It's fun to dream, but imagine if both Lindsey Graham and Mitch McConnell were to lose their seats in the same election cycle. Unlikely, but let's work every race like it's potentially winnable. The fact alone that candidates for historically non-competitive Senate seats like South Carolina and Kentucky are even able to raise this much money tells us a lot. It's also sort of frustrating that some candidates in more competitive states like North Carolina and Georgia are having trouble raising money. That actually is not good. But let's remember the lessons from the midterms of 2018. You know, when Democrats took over the House in 2018, I remember that there was satisfaction to some degree, but also kind of a feeling of helplessness. Like, what can we really do with taking over the House? Trump, his executive orders, his cabinet, the Senate. Well, because Democrats took over the House in 2018, Donald Trump has been impeached, becoming only the third president in history to be impeached. Now, that may go nowhere. It certainly is not likely to lead to Donald Trump's conviction in the Senate. It may help to remove Donald Trump by voting him out in November of 2020. But this is why every single one of these races has to be fought. Every single one of these Senate races that could be taken from a Republican has to be fought. We're only a few seats from a majority in the Senate. I've looked at the numbers. I've told you it's tough. 2022 is more likely. But given that we're likely to lose one seat in the Senate, we only need to pick up 5 in order to take over control. It is not impossible, and we should be fighting for it. The 2018 midterms and Trump now being impeached are exhibit A as to why this matters.